Hey everyone, this is Miss Johnson with your Unit 4 Excel Part 1 video. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is teaching what I would normally teach during class. So we're going to go over the first three things that are really important to know when it comes to Excel, and you can think about it in an acronym OFF. Organize, Format, Formula. So we're going to talk about these three things when it comes to Excel. Our learning target for today is I can identify when Excel should be used. I can input and format data in Excel, and I can use Excel to compute basic equations. So I'm going to be doing a lot of teaching. I'll be doing a little showing, and then I'm going to encourage you to do some practice on your own. So if at any point you need to pause this video, feel free, pull up Excel and go practice. To start, I want you to take a moment and take a look at our warm-up and think about what is a spreadsheet? What would you say a spreadsheet is? What do you think? A big sheet. B, a Word document but laid down horizontally. C, a sheet with a lot of numbers on it. Or D, a document organized by rows and columns. If you said D, that would be correct. So a spreadsheet used to, before in ye olden days, was this big sheet of paper that businesses would use, and it would keep track of their entries for their business. So whether someone pays them or they pay someone, spreadsheets are really common then. These days, you almost never see spreadsheets anywhere but online. But a lot of companies, a lot of workplaces use them. I use them a lot for teaching. If you're in the business world, there's someone that's going to be dealing with spreadsheets. This is what a spreadsheet looks like these days. So you can see that there are columns and rows that we can see. And Excel is the spreadsheeting tool that we'll use. There are other ones, notably Google Sheets, but we'll be using Excel. If you want to know about the calendar, I'm going to have you refer back to the intro video or to the announcements. I'm kind of making this video general so I can use it in years to come. So make sure to take a look there if you want to kind of know what's coming up for the week. With Excel, there's certain kind of vocab that I'm going to use and I'm going to expect you to know. So you can see we have our little note-taking symbol. So either take a screenshot of this page or whatever you need to do. Spreadsheet is a format where data is arranged in rows and columns, so just like we just saw. And it can be used to calculate things. So spreadsheets are really good at numbers. Keep that in mind. When I say a cell of a spreadsheet, I'm talking about the intersection between a row and a column. There are other places in school that we use the word cell, like you can think about biology class, or you can think about cells in terms of like a building, like a prison cell. This is just an intersection between a row and a column. So a part of a spreadsheet, cells, we're going to be using that a lot. Row, those are the horizontal lines, they're named by numbers. Columns, those are the vertical lines, those are named by letters. The formula bar shows the active cell data at the top. So the active cell is whatever you have clicked on. You can use the formula bar to edit what's in the active cell. This is really useful when words get cut off by your other cells. We'll see this happen. Excel has fancy names for itself. A book is one Excel document, and then there are different sheets, which is technically one page of an Excel document. You can have one book, but many sheets in it. One of my friends who's an engineer once told me that she had a spreadsheet that had 500 or maybe even more sheets in it. So that was all still one Excel document. You probably won't have a lot, but this is helpful when you want to have multiple spreadsheets, but maybe it's about the same general thing. All right, if you're a visual person, here's the same information, but shown visually. So you can see a cell, intersection between a row and a column. It's named with the letter of the column and the number of the row, so E13. Rows, again, are named by numbers. Columns are named by letters. Formula bar shows the data for A1. So if I'm clicked on A1, I'm going to see whatever's in A1 up here. It's called the formula bar because you can also see formulas there. And then if you want to add different sheets, that's down here. The first thing that we need to know how to do with Excel is organize it. As you can see, organizing is really important in Excel because we have these rows and columns. So you have to decide what is going in the columns and what is going in the rows. As you get better at this, you can kind of get a sense for it. But in general, this is how I recommend you organize things. In columns, I want you to put categories of information. So let's say you are making a spreadsheet about movies. Your columns, each column would be a different part, piece of information about the movie. So maybe one column you put all the genres in the movie. Another column you put all the release dates. Another column you put all the money you made. Each row is like each thing in your spreadsheet. So in this case, if I was making a spreadsheet about movies, each row would be a movie, right? That's the thing that we are keeping track of. When I make spreadsheets about students, each column has different information about the student, maybe the day you attended and any notes about you, maybe your current grade, maybe the grade you're missing, and then each row is a student. Typically, when you're organizing Excel, it's really important to have data/column headers. You, as the person who's making this, may know what each number means in the columns, but unless you have a label on that, it's going to be really difficult for someone else to figure that out. So, some tips I have for you. I'll talk about that when I actually show you this. So, I want you to think for a moment. If I was running a fruit stand and I wanted to keep track of my business numbers, it would be good for me to use a spreadsheet because that's a great way to catalog information. So I want you to think for a moment, what categories of information would we want about a fruit stand? What would be helpful for us as a business owner to know about? So some of the things you could have thought of is maybe it would be helpful to know how much money someone paid. Maybe it would be helpful to know what fruit they bought. Because if no one is buying my pineapples, maybe I don't keep buying pineapples. It would also be helpful to know the customer name, maybe when they ordered, so I can see the peak times, if I can see repeating customers going back, etc., etc. So if I wanted to set this up in an Excel document, here's what it might look like. So again, fruit stand. So each row is going to be an order at my fruit stand. So each column is going to be these categories of information that we looked at. So what I just did is I opened up Excel. You can always find Excel on your computer if you go searching here, Excel, and then you can pop it up over here. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip row number 1 for now because I'm going to put the information for each thing. Or I'm not going to skip row number 1. I'm going to think about what information do I want on my Excel spreadsheet. Well, each row is going to be an order. So what information do I want about each owner? I'm going to say customer name. Key back in. If you were not paying attention, please pay attention now. The most common issue I see with Excel is people see that this, what's in this cell, customer name, goes over into column B. Your first instinct might be, okay, I'm going to put the next thing in column C, the fruit they bought. I'm going to tell you not to do this. And the reason for this is I'm going to show you how to format this in a second. And it's really helpful to have all of information in one column. If I skipped column B because this was just spilling over into it, now I have a random empty column here. So even though it looks like you should skip column B so you can see the customer name, I want you to never skip a column, okay? Never skip a column. If you get anything out of this class, never skip columns in Excel. That's the thing I want you to remember. Even though it looks like there's stuff in B, notice if you click on here, there's nothing in this active cell. So if I write something in B, it's not going to get rid of the name like it would in Word. So in here, I'm going to write fruit bought. Okay, you might be like, Ms. Johnson, it's gone. I don't get my customer name anymore. It's not right. It's right here. Customer name, fruit bought. We're going to say money paid. And then I would organize and put each person. I'm going to take a moment and do that so you're not just watching me type. Well, actually, I'm going to show you how to do that. So maybe I have Mike. If I want to go over, I'm going to hit Tab. So I'm going to hit Tab and I'm going to move over a column. Maybe tab Mike bought oranges, and they paid about $5. I'm realizing that it would also be helpful to know how many fruit they bought. So I'm going to actually insert a column by right-clicking here. How many fruit? Maybe they bought 4 oranges. And if I want to go down, let's say I'm here, or I'm here and I want to go down, I can hit enter. So if you want to move across, you hit tab. I'm hitting tab right now. If you want to move down, you hit enter. Hitting enter. All right, so see how I'm organizing my Excel spreadsheet. I have all of my information up here. Each row is an order at my fruit stand. Each column is information about that order. All right. Okay, so we know how to put information into Excel, right? Now we need to know how to make it look nice. And some of these things are more important than others. There's 2 basic ways that you can format in Excel. There's formatting cells with text formatting, or there's text formatting and there's cell formatting. So text formatting is what you're used to in Word, right? Changing the size / font, text, color, italics, bold. And then there's cell formatting, that's fill color, merging, borders, a data type, numbers format. There's kind of typical cell formats. You're going to usually bold your column headers. Sometimes they're bigger color, sometimes they're merged. Usually with the data, there's not really any fancy formatting around this text formatting, but there are borders around the cells. I'm going to put text formatting here. So here's what we can do. First thing that I'm going to show you how to do, I think the most important one, is going to be to do some cell formatting and making our columns bigger. If you're going to do text formatting, it's pretty similar to Word. It's all this stuff up here. I'm not really going to go over it. But I do want to know how to make it so that my customer name shows up here. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to make the column bigger. So I'm going to put my cursor in between A and B. I'm going to drag it. And now it's big enough so I can see it. You can also just double click it and it's going to be as large as it needs to be, but I like to drag it to give it a little bit more space. So if I had a really long customer name, I could also continue to extend row A. Again, this is why we don't skip columns. Here, I want to see, I see fruit bow, but I want to see fruit bought, so I'm going to go in between B and C till my cursor turns into that little arrows. Move it over. Again, I'm going to do the same thing with C and D. Same thing with D. Something I'm going to ask you to do in the assignment is to merge some cells. So let's say I wanted to, over all of these things, I wanted a cell that says Miss Johnson's fruit stand. So all of this information, I want people to know this is about my fruit stand. What you could do is you could merge some columns. So I'm going to click from A to D, excuse me. And I'm going to click on this option right up here. It's called Merge and Center. If you have your Excel bigger, it'll actually say Merge and Center. When I click on that, suddenly this is one cell. You can tell it's one cell. It's easy to tell with colors. So if I give my cell A1 a color, and then I merge all these cells, watch what happens. Now, it's all one cell. Last thing I'm going to show before this video finishes up, there'll be a part 2, is how to do some borders. So if you want to put borders around all of your cells, here's how you do it. I'm going to click and drag over all of this. This is going to be my main part of my Excel document. I'm going to go up here, kind of looks like a little window, and hit the drop-down box. And I'm going to click on all borders. Watch the difference. Here's what all borders looks like. Here's what no borders looks like. See the difference? So you use borders to really sort of delineate, to show where's your information, where your information isn't. And then I'm going to bold my column headers just so it's a little bit more clear what is my column header and what is not. All right. In the second half of this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about formatting, and we're going to talk about the last bit formulas. So I'll be right back.